August 22nd, 1944. A ditch beside the N12 highway 40 kilometers west of Paris. The air is thick with the metallic stench of cordite and the sweet, sickly smell of dead cattle. Oberleutnant Franz Wegener, his face a mask of gray dust and exhaustion, presses his head against the damp earth. His unit, or what's left of the Panzerlehr Division, has been retreating for 3 weeks. They are a ghost army, haunted by the constant thunder of American artillery and the omnipresent shriek of P-47 Thunderbolt fighters. Wegener's Panzer IV ran dry 2 days ago. It was abandoned, its breech block destroyed with a thermite grenade. His men haven't had a hot meal in a week. He risks a glance over the lip of the ditch, and his stomach tightens. It's not just a patrol, it's a river, an endless olive-drab river of steel. M4 Sherman tanks, their hulls draped with spare track links and sandbags, rumble past at a steady 20 miles per hour. M10 tank destroyers, M3 half-tracks brimming with infantry, and looming over them all, the 2.5-ton GMC trucks, hundreds of them, thousands, churning up the French countryside. They aren't stopping. They aren't digging in. They are advancing as if the entire German 7 Army was nothing but a speed bump. Where do they get the fuel? His corporal whispers, his voice cracking. My God, Lieutenant, where does it all come from? Wegener has no answer. It is a strategic impossibility. That same day, OB West Headquarters, Germany, General Feldmarschall Walter Model, the Führer's fireman, stares at the operations map. The red and blue symbols tell a story of total collapse. The American breakout from Normandy, Operation Cobra, has torn a hole in the Western Front that you could drive an army through. And General George S. Patton is doing exactly that. Model's Chief of Staff, General der Infanterie Günther Blumentritt, points a manicured finger at the map. Chartres has fallen, Orléans. The Americans are crossing the Seine here and here. It makes no sense, Model snaps, his voice a low growl. Patton is 400 kilometers from his supply base. 400! Cherbourg is a ruin. The rail lines are kaput. He slams his fist on the oak table. Prussian doctrine is clear. The spearhead must outrun its supply. It is a law of physics. He is feeding an entire mechanized army over open roads. He cannot sustain this. Why doesn't he stop? The German High Command, trained in the meticulous railroad-dependent logistics of Clausewitz, is waiting for the inevitable. They are waiting for the American blitzkrieg to stall, to run out of gasoline, ammunition, and food. Then the counterattack. But the pause never comes. August 25th, 1944. Patton's Third Army Forward HQ, near Chartres. The man himself, General George S. Patton, Jr., is apoplectic. He stands in his command van, his signature ivory-handled revolvers at his hips, chewing an unlit cigar. God damn it, he roars at his G4 logistics officer. You tell me I have the entire German army on the run, that I have a gap wide enough to drive to Berlin, and you're telling me to stop? For gasoline? The G4, Colonel Walter J. Muller, stands rigid. Sir, the Third Army is consuming over 700,000 gallons of fuel per day. The 4th Armored Division is reporting tanks running dry on the side of the road. We are capturing German fuel, but it's not enough. The supply lines are stretched to the breaking point. Patton glares at the map. He is racing toward the Siegfried Line, the west wall of Germany itself. He can smell victory, and he is being choked off not by German panzers but by his own logistics. The Allied victory in Normandy was too successful. The Allied strategic bombing campaign, designed to paralyze the Germans by destroying the French railway system, was now paralyzing the Allies. The greatest armored pursuit in history was about to grind to a halt, giving the Wehrmacht the one thing it desperately needed: time. Time to regroup, rearm, and turn the border of Germany into a slaughterhouse. The Allied advance, the entire war in the balance, hinges on a single, impossible question. How do you get 12,000 tons of supplies, every single day, from the beaches of Normandy to the front line, without a single functioning railway? Deep in the rear, in the communication zone, COM Z, Lieutenant General John C. H. Lee has just signed an order for an operation of unprecedented scale. A solution so massive, so audacious, it would defy German logic and rewrite the rules of war. It was codenamed the Red Ball Express. August 25th, 1944, 1900 hours. COMZ headquarters, Valognes, France, Dardenne. The teletype machine in the operations tent chatters relentlessly. The order is out. It is stark, ambitious, and borderline desperate. Effective. 25 August 1944, established truck, convoy route, designation, red ball. Priority 1, all other, traffic secondary. The name itself is an old railroad term, red ball meaning express freight. But this will be no train. This will be a highway, or rather two of them, turned into the longest one-way conveyor belt in history. Major General Frank S. Ross, the Chief of Transportation for the European Theater, studies the map. It's madness. The route will be a loop, a northern route heading east to the front near Chartres, and a southern route returning west to the supply depots at Saint-Lô, 2 highways. One-way traffic, open 24 hours a day, no civilian traffic, no other military traffic, nothing but supply trucks. To do this, Ross dictates to his adjutant, we need trucks. Find every truck in this theater that can move. Pull them from the port battalions. Pull them from the engineers. If it has wheels and an engine, I want it. But more than trucks, he needs drivers. Thousands of them, August 26, 1944. A damp field near Cherbourg. The sound of a whistle cuts through the pre-dawn mist. All right, you heard him. On your feet. Formation. Move, move, move. Private First Class James Deacon Price, 761st Quartermaster Battalion, pulls his wool blanket tighter before throwing it off. He's 19, a history student from Alabama, and he has spent the last 2 months unloading ships. His hands are raw from hauling crates of K rations and 105mm artillery shells. His unit, like more than 70% of the units being mobilized for this new operation, is segregated. They are African American soldiers, commanded mostly by white officers. They are the stevedores, the grave diggers, the port battalions. They are the men who handle the cargo but rarely the guns. A young white lieutenant, barely older than Price, stands on the hood of a jeep. Men, as of 0600 hours, you are no longer a port battalion. You are drivers. Your new assignment is Operation Red Ball Express. A murmur ripples through the men. Express? You will be moving supplies to the Third Army. You will drive from here to the front and back. You will not stop. You will eat in your trucks. You will sleep in your trucks. The only thing that matters is the gasoline and the ammunition. Is that clear? Deacon Price looks at the man next to him. Corporal Willie Slick Johnson, a former cab driver from Chicago. Drive to the front? Slick mutters, a cynical half-smile on his face. Man, I thought they didn't trust us with anything sharper than a shovel. They're not trusting us, Slick, Deacon replies, hoisting his M1 rifle. They're just out of options. In less than 48 hours, a logistical army is born from nothing. They are pulling mechanics from depots, cooks from mess halls, and clerks from offices. Any soldier who has ever driven a truck or claims he has is given a brief inspection. They are handed a GMC 2.5-ton truck, the Jimmy, the Deuce and a Half, now the workhorse of the U.S. Army. These are not comfortable machines. The ride is bone-jarring, the canvas top leaks, and the noise is deafening. They are organized into provisional companies. Many of the drivers have never driven in a convoy. Many have never driven at night without headlights. Some have barely driven a truck at all. They are given a rifle, 10 rounds of ammunition, and a steel helmet. The briefing is grim. The route is 300 miles. You will drive at a steady 25 miles per hour, 60 yards apart. You will not stop for breakdowns. You will not stop for flat tires. You will not stop if the truck in front of you is hit. And you will not, under any circumstances, allow your cargo to fall into enemy hands. The German Luftwaffe is still active. German stragglers, desperate and lethal, are everywhere. The French resistance warns that SS units, bypassed by Patton's spearhead, are still operating behind Allied lines, conducting ambushes. This isn't just driving. This is a supply line running straight through a combat zone. As Deacon Price climbs into the cab of his brand-new Jimmy, the acrid smell of canvas and fresh paint filling his nostrils, he sees the signs being posted by the military police. A simple red circle on a white background. The red ball is open. 0400 hours, August 27th, 1944. A sea of mud near Saint-Lô. The sound is not a collection of noises, but a single, deafening physical presence. It is the sound of 6,000 2.5-ton GMC truck engines idling at once, a throbbing guttural roar that vibrates in your teeth. The air is so thick with blue diesel exhaust it stings the eyes and coats the tongue. It is cold. Rain from the night before has turned the massive staging ground into a knee-deep quagmire. Private First Class James Deacon Price, 761st Quartermaster Battalion, shivers, his hands numb on the freezing metal of his M1 rifle. He's 19 and he's terrified. He watches as military police, their helmets and rain slickers gleaming in the harsh glare of floodlights, move through the ocean of olive-drab steel. They are like sheepdogs whistling and shouting, trying to impose order on pure chaos. His driving partner, Corporal Willie Slick Johnson, kicks the front right tire of their Jimmy. The truck is brand new, but it already looks ancient, caked in mud. Their cargo is 5 tons of 105mm artillery shells, stacked high under the canvas cover. "Look at this mess," Slick mutters, his voice a low rasp. He pulls his collar tight. "A traffic jam all the way to Berlin. Bet every crowd in France can hear us. They say there are 5,900 trucks, Slick," Deacon says, his voice barely a whisper over the din. "Almost 6,000. "Yeah, and about 20,000 ways to die between here and the front," Slick replies, not unkindly. He claps a hand on Deacon's shoulder. "Keep your head on, college boy. Don't look at the whole road. Just look at the 60 yards in front of you." A white lieutenant, looking exhausted and strung out, stands on a stack of 50 caliber ammo crates. He screams through a crackling megaphone. "All right, listen up. This is the Red Ball Express. We own this road." He points east into the darkness. "That road is a one-way street. The A route. You will maintain 30 miles an hour. Not 29, not 31, 30. You will keep a 60-yard interval between trucks. Not 50, not 70, 60. He pauses and his voice drops, becoming deadly serious. "You do not stop. You do not stop. If the truck in front of you blows a tire, you pass him. If he hits a mine, you pass him. If he is on fire, you drive around him. The wreckers and the medics will pick up what's left. You are not to stop. You stop, Patton stops. You stop, the whole damn war stops. Am I clear?" A ragged hooah rises from the drivers. "You have 2 drivers per truck. 1 man drives, 1 man sleeps. You switch every 2 hours. You will not stop for food. You will not stop for stragglers. You will not stop for anything. Now roll them out. Get 'em rolling!" A whistle shrieks. The first truck in the endless line lurches forward, its gears grinding in protest. The river of steel is beginning to move. Slick swings himself up into the cab. "You're up first, Deacon. Get us on the road. I'm going to catch some sleep before the fireworks start." Deacon climbs in, his muddy boots scraping on the running board. The cab smells of canvas, gasoline, and wet wool. He pumps the gas, shoves the transmission into first, and the massive, overloaded truck groans forward, its tires spinning in the mud before catching. They fall into line. For an hour, it's a stop-and-go crawl, bumper to bumper, moving out of the staging area. Then they hit the hardball. Route Nationale 13, the MPs are everywhere. At every crossroad, every village street, a soldier in a white helmet and gloves stands on a wooden box, his arms a blur, waving them through. They are the gatekeepers of the Express, the Red Ball MPs, and they are legend. They work 24-hour shifts, fueled by endless cigarettes and Benzedrine tablets, screaming themselves hoarse, keeping the artery flowing. Deacon's knuckles are white on the huge steering wheel. The Jimmy is a beast. It's loud, it vibrates, and the steering is heavy. The road, pounded by months of bombing and shelling, is a treacherous landscape of hastily filled craters and crumbling shoulders. "Just watch the truck in front," Slick mutters from beside him, his helmet tilted over his eyes. "Don't think about Germany. Don't think about the cargo. Just think about his taillights. By 1100 hours, the sun is up." They are deep in the French countryside. It's beautiful but menacing. The landscape is dotted with burned-out German tanks and the swollen corpses of cattle. This is not a rear area. This is a war zone. They pass through a village. The locals, mostly old men and children, stand by the road. They cheer, they wave. A young girl throws an apple and it bounces off Deacon's windshield. He almost flinches, thinking it's a grenade. "See that?" Slick says, gesturing with his chin. "They love us. Course they don't got a ride in this death trap. And they ain't got some white boy from Mississippi giving 'em orders." The jibe hangs in the air. It's the unspoken truth of the 761st. They are here to save Patton's army, an army that won't let them eat in the same mess hall. They are good enough to die for their country, but not to drink a cup of coffee with it. "Just drive, Deacon," Slick says, his voice softer. 530 hours. The sniper's triangle near Evreux. The tension in the cab has been rising for miles. The trucks have unconsciously tightened their intervals as if for protection. This stretch of road is flanked by dense forests. It happens fast. The truck, 2 vehicles ahead of them, a fuel tanker, suddenly erupts. There is no warning, just a blinding whoomp that rocks their own truck. A column of fire and black smoke boils into the sky. The cab of the tanker is gone, simply vaporized. Mine, Deacon screams, yanking the wheel. Sniper! Slick roars, unshouldering his M1 and pointing to the woods on the right. Crack thwip. A bullet punches a neat round hole in Deacon's windshield, missing his head by inches and shattering the glass behind him. The convoy is in chaos. Trucks are swerving. The burning tanker has blocked the road. Don't stop. Don't stop. Deacon is frozen, his foot hovering over the brake. Floor it, Deacon. Go. Slick shoves his foot down on Deacon's. Drive. Drive around it. Slick holds his M1 out the window and fires 3 rounds aimlessly into the trees. Crack thwip. Another round pings off their front fender. Deacon wrenches the wheel. He floors the accelerator and the Jimmy's engine screams. He veers off the road onto the soft shoulder, the truck tilting at a terrifying angle. To their left, the gasoline tanker is an inferno. The heat is so intense it blisters the paint on their door. An MP on a Harley-Davidson motorcycle skids to a stop, oblivious to the bullets. He's waving his arms frantically. Close the gap. Close the gap! Keep rolling! Don't stop. Deacon fights the wheel, the tires spraying mud. He gets the truck back on the road, his heart hammering so hard he thinks it will burst. He looks in the side mirror. The truck behind him has followed. The truck behind that one, too. The burning tanker is already disappearing behind them. My God, Willie. Deacon is shaking so hard he can barely hold the wheel. We just left them. We just left them to burn. Slick is reloading his rifle, his face a grim, sweating mask. What did the man say, Deacon? You stop, Patton stops. Those boys. They're done. We ain't. Now keep driving. And keep your damn head down. Meanwhile, 10 kilometers away in a ruined farmhouse attic, Oberscharführer Karl Kessel lowers his field glasses. He and his Panzerfaust team, cut off from the 116 Panzer Division, have been watching this for 4 hours. It's madness, his corporal whispers, chewing on a piece of hardtack. It doesn't end. I have been counting, Kessel says, his voice flat with disbelief. A truck every 90 seconds. For 4 hours. Fuel, ammunition, rations, I just watched one burn. They didn't even slow down. He had given the order for the Panzerfaust shot on the tanker. It was a perfect hit. He expected the convoy to scatter, to panic, to halt. They didn't. They just drove around the fire, accelerating. This is not an army, Dieter, Kessel says, a cold dread seeping into his bones. This is a factory. It is a conveyor belt. How do we fight this? We are fighting an assembly line. He looks back at the road. The endless olive-drab river flows on undeterred, heading east. For the first time since the landings, Kessel feels a profound, existential sense of defeat. This was not war as he knew it. This was industry, and it was swallowing them whole. 30 hours, August 28th, somewhere west of Chartres. It is pitch black. A cold, driving rain is lashing the truck. Deacon is at the wheel, his eyes burning. He's been awake for 22 hours. His body is a single aching knot of pain. They are driving blackout. The only lights permitted are 2 tiny cat-eye slits on the back of the truck in front of them. They are ghostly blue-green dots floating in the infinite black. He's hallucinating. The cat eyes seem to float free, to dance, to multiply. The roar of the engine has become a hypnotic, dull drone. Slick, he whispers. Slick, wake up, I can't feel my hands. Slick is instantly awake. All right, pull over, slow, get on the shoulder. Deacon eases the truck onto the muddy grass. The moment it stops, the silence is deafening, broken only by the rain and the rumble of the convoy still racing past them, truck after truck after truck, ghostly shapes in the night. Get out, Slick orders. They both jump out into the mud. Run in place. Pump your arms. Come on. Deacon does it, his legs like lead. They're taking pills, Deacon says, his teeth chattering. The medics. They offered me Benzedrine. Pep pills. Slick nods, lighting 2 cigarettes in the cup of his hands, the brief flare illuminating his tired face. He passes one to Deacon. You can take him if you want, but you crash hard. This is better. Deacon draws the hot smoke into his lungs. It burns, but it cuts through the fog. How, Slick? How do we keep doing this? Slick takes a long drag. You know, back in Chicago, I could drive a cab 36 hours straight on a good fare. course, nobody was shooting at me, and I could stop for a damn sandwich when I wanted. He looks at the endless line of trucks pounding past them. We're just ghosts, Deacon. Ghost haul and ghost mail. Only thing that matters is the package gets delivered. He claps Deacon on the back. My turn to drive. You get in the suicide seat and sleep. Don't dream. As Deacon climbs in, he sees it. On the side of the road, a Jimmy has gone into a ditch, its nose buried in the earth. The driver is slumped over the wheel. The MP on his motorcycle is there. Not even looking at the wreck, just waving his flashlight at the passing trucks. Keep it moving. Close it up.
Close it up.
0600 hours, August 28th. A vast, muddy field near Chartres. Dawn breaks, revealing a scene from hell. Hundreds of M4 Sherman tanks, M10 tank destroyers, and half-tracks are parked in rows, engines idling. The tankers, their faces black with grime and stubble, are waiting. As Slick pulls their truck into the line, the tankers cheer. They bang on their hulls with wrenches. They whistle. Before Slick can even cut the engine, a sergeant with a clipboard is on the running board. You 105s, get this truck to that M7 Priest now. They're dry. You drivers, mess tent is 50 yards that way. You have 30 minutes. 30. Then you get your return orders. We need more. Deacon and Slick stumble out of the cab. Their legs are numb. They can barely walk. The ground is shaking from friendly artillery firing just over the next ridge. They made it. One trip, 312 miles. Slick looks at Deacon. Well, college boy. We delivered the mail. He looks back at the road they just came down. It's already filling up with empty trucks heading west. The B route, the return loop. The Red Ball Express never stops. 6:15 hours. August 28th, Forward Supply Depot. Red Chartres. The mess tent is a patch of muddy ground sectioned off by a rope. A sweating private in a dirty apron slops watery coffee into Deacon's canteen cup and throws a cold pancake onto his mess kit. The coffee tastes like burned motor oil. Nearby, an M7 Priest self-propelled gun lets loose with a crack boom that shakes the earth, rattling Deacon's teeth. 30 minutes, my ass. Slick mutters, already halfway through his pancake. He's not even sitting. They want us back on the road, he's right. The same sergeant is back, clipboard in hand. Price Johnson. Your truck's refueled. Your papers are here. You are on the B route westbound. You pick up a new load at St. Lo. Now, Deacon hasn't even finished his coffee. But Sergeant, we just got here. The sergeant, a man in his 40s with eyes so tired they look like burned holes in a blanket, doesn't even look up. Son, the 4th Armored Division is 80 miles east of here and they've got 20-gallon tanks. Every truck you see here, he gestures to the massive churning field of vehicles, is already 3 hours late. Get in the truck. Slick pulls Deacon by the arm. Come on, college boy. You heard the man. War ain't gonna wait for your breakfast. 400 hours, August 28th, the B route near Alençon. The westbound road is, if anything, worse. It's the same highway, just running in the opposite direction. But now it's not just pockmarked with craters. It's pulverized. The sheer weight of thousands of 5-ton loaded trucks 24 hours a day has shattered the pavement. What was asphalt is now a river of dust and gravel. The dust is the new enemy. It's a fine white talcum-like powder that gets into everything. It's in their hair, their mouths, their lungs. It clogs the truck's air filter, threatening to seize the engine. Deacon is driving again. He wears his goggles, but his eyes are still inflamed and raw. His face is a mask of grime, sweat, and dust. This is... He coughs, a dry, racking sound. It's like driving inside a bag of flour. Just keep her steady, Slick says, his own voice hoarse. He's using his canteen to wet a rag, which he's tied over his mouth and nose. The B route is the highway of the dead. Here, the wreckers and mechanics fight their own war. They pass a deuce and a half on its side in a ditch, its axles snapped. A team of engineers, their faces black with grease, is already cannibalizing it, pulling off its tires. Nothing is wasted, they pass another. The driver's side of the cab is riddled with bullet holes, a dark stain on the seat. The truck has been pushed to the shoulder. A wrecker's already hooking it up, ready to tow it to a collection point. They're not even stopping to clear him proper, Deacon whispers, his gaze fixed on the wreck. No time, Slick says. Gotta keep the artery clear. 100 hours, August 29th. Ordnance Maintenance Depot 305 near Le Mans. The scene is Dante's Inferno, lit by acetylene torches. Here, in a vast open-air garage, the mechanics of the Red Ball Express perform miracles and conduct funerals. The noise is a symphony of hammers, hissing torches, and screaming air wrenches. Men covered head to toe in black grease swarm over wounded trucks. Slick and Deacon's truck has developed a sickening grinding sound in its transmission. She's gonna die on us, Slick. She's not gonna make it back to St. Lo. A master sergeant, a towering man with Sarge stenciled on his helmet, flags them down. What's the problem, driver? Transmission, Sarge. She's slipping bad. Sarge doesn't even hesitate. Kill the engine. Everybody out. You. He points to a T4 wrecker. Get this Jimmy to Bay 3. You two. He points at Deacon and Slick. Rations tent. You're getting a new truck. A new one? Deacon is stunned. Sarge laughs, a harsh barking sound. New to you? That one over there. He points to a truck that has clearly been through hell with a brand new looking engine block visible under its open hood. We just swapped the engine. Took 2 hours. The boys in Detroit say it's a 6-hour job. They ain't got the Wehrmacht on their ass. He looks at the line of trucks waiting for repairs, a line that stretches back into the darkness. These Jimmies, they're rated for 2.5 tons. We're pushing 5-6 tons on them, every trip. They're rated for 5,000 miles between overhauls. We're doing that in a week. The tires? God, the tires. They're shredding them like paper. We are literally driving the wheels off the U.S. Army. He pulls a cigarette from a pack, but we got no choice. Patton's screaming for gas. So we patch him with baling wire and spit, and we send him back out. Now get your asses to that new truck. You're burning daylight. 3:30 hours, August 30th. General Feldmarschall Models HQ Blumentritt lays the aerial reconnaissance photos on the desk. They were taken by a brave Arado 234 jet, one of the few that could outrun the Allied fighters. The photos are grainy, taken from 30,000 feet, but they are undeniable. They show the 2 highways, and on them 2 unbroken lines of headlights, one line going east, one line going west. They stretch from horizon to horizon. It is not a convoy, Herr Feldmarschall, the intelligence analyst says, his voice trembling slightly. It is a circuit, an endless loop. We estimate over 5,000 vehicles, perhaps more. Model stares at the photo. He thinks of the German supply lines in Russia, a handful of trucks, horse-drawn wagons struggling through mud, picked off by partisans. 12,000 tons, Model says, the number sounding like an obscenity, per day. They are not supplying an army. They are moving an entire industrial nation into France by road. He traces the line of lights with his finger. We have been bombing their railheads. We have been blowing their bridges. And it doesn't matter. They have become the railroad. A terrifying clarity settles over him. This is not a war of tactics, of brilliant maneuvers, of Kessel, cauldrons, and encirclements. This is a war of production, of brute force, of logistics so vast it defies imagination. Where? He asks the room, his voice dangerously quiet. Do they get the men who can do this, drive for days without rest, under fire? 400 hours, August 30. The A route. Deacon is asleep, his head bouncing off the vibrating metal of the door. He is dreaming. He's back in Alabama in the library, the smell of old paper and floor wax. Crunch! He is thrown violently against the dashboard as Slick slams the brakes and wrenches the wheel. The truck skidding sideways, its horn blaring. Wake up. Damn it, Deacon, wake up! Deacon's eyes fly open. They are in a ditch. The engine has stalled. In front of them, not 10 feet away, is the mangled wreckage of another Jimmy smashed into the side of a stone farmhouse. The truck they almost hit, he was asleep, Slick whispers, his whole body shaking. The driver, he must have just drifted off, drove right off the road. Deacon can see the driver of the other truck. He's not moving. We gotta help him, Deacon says, reaching for the door. No, Slick grabs his arm, his grip like steel. You heard the man. You heard the MPs. We don't stop. We can't stop, but he's done, Deacon. We stop, we block the road. In 5 minutes, there'll be a pile-up a mile long. The whole damn express will stop. Right here. Slick's voice is cracking, the bravado gone, replaced by pure, frayed nerve exhaustion. The medics will get him. The wreckers will get him. Our job is to drive. He turns the key. The engine sputters, catches, and roars to life. Slick fights the transmission, the gears grinding, and muscles the truck out of the ditch and back onto the hardball. Deacon just stares at the wreck as they pull away. He sees the red ball painted on the side of the smashed truck. They don't stop. They just drive around it, accelerating back to 30 miles per hour, rejoining the unblinking, endless river of steel. September 7th, 1944. 1100 hours. COMZED headquarters. Fallones. The tent is hot, humid, and smells of stale cigar smoke. Lieutenant General John C.H. Lee, commander of the communication zone, is a man besieged. He is the master of the Red Ball Express, and the Express is threatening to eat itself alive. Gentlemen, he addresses his staff, his voice a low, dangerous rumble. I am getting reports of 48-hour turnaround times. I am getting reports of drivers with 90 hours of continuous duty. I am getting reports of 25% vehicle failure at the depots. He stabs a finger at a map covered in red grease pencil lines. But more than that, I am getting reports of freelancing. A young major from Transportation Command Trans-C shifts nervously. Sir, freelancing? Don't play coy, Major, your drivers. They get to the front. And some enterprising young captain from the 5th Infantry waves a bottle of cognac and a pass to Paris. And suddenly my truck, full of my 81mm mortar rounds, ends up 40 miles off route delivering urgent medical supplies that look suspiciously like cases of scotch. Lee paces, his boots scuffing the duckboards. This is not a fleet of taxis. This is a closed loop. The return trip is just as important as the delivery. We are losing trucks. We are losing drivers. They are disappearing into the maw of the front line. The problem is one of simple human nature. The drivers are exhausted, the units at the front are desperate, and the system is built on trust, paper, and speed. As of 1200 hours today, Lee announces, we are implementing the block system. No more to whom it may concern deliveries. Each convoy will be dispatched to a specific Army transfer point. A block of 50 trucks will be signed for, unloaded, and signed out by a Trans-C lieutenant. If a single truck is missing, that lieutenant's career is over. He turns to the provost marshal. And you? Your MPs will enforce it. I want a checkpoint at every major intersection. No truck moves off the Red Ball route. Period. I don't care if Jesus Christ himself signs the trip ticket. If it's not stamped by COMZ, you turn him around. The Red Ball Express, born of desperate improvisation, is now being strangled by the very bureaucracy it was designed to bypass. The Iron Majors, the logistics officers, are taking control. September 8, 1944. Aero 200. Hours, a crossroads near Soissons. This intersection is a churning vortex of mud and profanity. It is the junction of the N31 and the N2, a critical artery, and it is run by one man, Corporal Ted Iron Guts Riley, 28th MP Platoon. Riley has been on his feet for 19 hours. He is standing on a stack of German Teller mines, his throat raw from screaming. He is fueled by Benzedrine, cigarettes, and a rage so pure it's become a physical force. His white helmet and gloves are stained brown with mud, but he is the law. You, driver, he screams, his voice cracking. He points his flashlight, its beam cutting through the rain at a Jimmy that is slowing down, its engine sputtering. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. It's Deacon at the wheel. This is his 8th, 9th loop. He's lost count. The days and nights have blurred into one long, roaring, vibrating headache. Their truck, the new one they were given, is dying. The fuel pump is failing. I can't, Slick. Deacon shouts over the engine's cough. She's got nothing left. Don't you stop here, Deacon. Slick pleads, his hand on the dashboard. Don't let this white boy catch us. He'll have our hides. The truck lurches, backfires like a shotgun blast, and stalls. It has stopped. In the middle of the most critical crossroads on the Red Ball Express, the silence is immediate, terrifying. The rumbling of the convoy behind them becomes a chorus of groaning brakes and blaring horns. Corporal Riley is off his box in a second, his face appearing at Deacon's window. It is a mask of pure, exhausted fury. What in the goddamn hell do you think you are doing? Riley bellows, his flashlight beam pinning Deacon's eyes. You have just stopped the Third Army. Get this piece of junk moving now. We're stalled, Corporal. Slick leans across Deacon, his voice placating but firm. Fuel pump's gone. We can't move. I don't care if you have to push it. Riley shrieks. You are blocking the artery. He stops. He sees them. Really sees them. Two young, exhausted black soldiers, their eyes red-rimmed and hollow. They look more like ghosts than men. He sees the M1 rifle on the rack, the muddy helmets. Riley's face changes. The rage flickers, replaced by a terrible, shared exhaustion. He too is a prisoner of this road. He turns. You, wrecker! He screams at a tow truck parked in a side road. Hook 'em! Get 'em out of the road. 2 minutes. I want them out in 2. He turns back to Deacon. Get your gear. You're riding with the wrecker crew back to the depot. Don't ever stop in my intersection again. As Deacon and Slick grab their rifles, the massive M1 wrecker is already there, its chain rattling as it hooks onto their front bumper. They are dragged unceremoniously into a dead truck park by the side of the road, a graveyard of Jimmys. The convoy is already moving again. The brief clog is clear. Well, Slick says, lighting a cigarette, his hands shaking. That's that. We're stranded. He was just doing his job, Deacon says, watching the MP. A lone, screaming figure in the rain, swallowed once more by the endless river of trucks. Yeah, Slick replies, his voice bitter. So were we. September 10th, 1944. OB West Headquarters General der Infanterie Blumentritt holds the report. It is confirmed. Patton's counterattack at Monte, the one our Panzerfaust teams annihilated. His losses were replaced. In 12 hours, replaced? General Feldmarschall Model asks, not looking up from his map. The tank destroyers, the ammunition, the fuel, all of it. Our attack on his supply line, the ambush near Evreux, the one Kessel reported, it was statistically insignificant. They didn't even note it in their dispatches. Model finally looks up. Statistically insignificant? They are operating on a scale, Herr Feldmarschall, that makes individual ambushes irrelevant. We destroy 1 truck. 5 more take its place. We kill 1 driver. 10 more are waiting at Cherbourg. It is not war. It is mathematics. And we are on the wrong side of the equation. The German High Command is finally, fully beginning to understand. The war will not be won by superior tactics or fighting spirit. It will be won by men who can absorb a 90% loss rate and still deliver the mail. It will be won by men like Deacon and Slick, and the system that views them, their trucks, and their lives as utterly, horrifyingly, and effectively expendable. September 11th, 1944. 400 hours. 45th Evacuation Hospital, near Dreux. The air in the casualty tent is a fog of wet canvas, antiseptic, and the sour smell of unwashed bodies. Captain Miles Donovan, a surgeon, hasn't slept in 36 hours, but he's not treating bullet wounds. He's not digging out shrapnel. He's looking at a 19-year-old private from a quartermaster company strapped to a cot. The man is screaming in his sleep, his hands rigidly fixed in the air as if gripping a giant steering wheel. What's his injury? A new nurse asks, her voice trembling. He's a driver, Donovan says, his voice flat with fatigue. Red ball. Drove 72 hours straight on benzodrine. Hallucinated a German tank. Jackknifed his truck into a river. His co-driver drowned. This one? He has a concussion, 2 broken ribs, and what we're now calling express fatigue. Donovan gestures to the other cots. Look, these aren't battle casualties. They're logistics casualties. He points to a man with 3rd-degree burns from a tanker fire, a man with a crushed pelvis from a flipped ammunition truck, 2 men with acute psychosis from sheer, unrelenting lack of sleep. We are being overrun, Donovan mutters, signing a chart. This express. It's grinding these men down. It's chewing them up and spitting them out. And for every man who falls, 2 more take his place. It's a war of attrition, not against the Germans, but against the road. September 11th, 1944. 2100 hours. Replacement Depot 4, Cherbourg. It's been 2 days. Deacon and Slick are ghosts. They are 2 men among a swirling, disorganized mass of 5,000 drivers. Men whose trucks have died, men who got separated, new replacements fresh off the boats. The depot is a bureaucratic black hole. They lost our papers, Deacon, Slick says, his voice a low, gravelly rasp. He's leaning against a stack of tires, his helmet over his eyes. We don't exist. We're not attached to a unit. We're not attached to a truck. We're just here. So what do we do? Deacon asks. The endless waiting is worse than the driving. Slick starts to say, but he's cut off by a lieutenant with a clipboard and a face like a skull. You 2, on your feet, the lieutenant barks. Can you drive? Yes, sir, Slick and Deacon say in unison. Good enough. You're now attached to the 514th Quartermaster. Provisional. You're taking that truck. He points to a Jimmy that's having a new tire wrestled onto it. It's loaded with 5-gallon flimsies, gasoline. You are heading for the 79th Infantry near the Belgian border. Get your trip ticket. You roll out in 10. They climb into the new cab. It smells of old sweat and bleach. The windshield on the passenger side has a spiderweb crack. They don't ask. Just like that, Slick mutters, checking the fuel gauge. We're back in the meat grinder. As they pull out onto the A route, the Red Ball Express is at its absolute terrifying peak. It is no longer a 2-lane highway. It is a 4-lane, 6-lane river of steel. Trucks are driving on the shoulders, on the grass, in the ditches. The MPs have given up trying to enforce speeder intervals. The only order is go. By mid-September, the Express is moving an average of 12,000 tons of supplies per day. It is the most vital operation in the European theater, and the Germans finally understand that to stop Patton, they must kill the Express. September 13th, 1944. 17:30 hours. The A route. Near Leon, the sky has a sickly yellow-gray tint. The convoy is bumper to bumper, racing to beat the dusk. They've abandoned blackout driving. The need for speed is too great. Headlights are on. Slick is at the wheel, his eyes scanning the sky as much as the road. I don't like this, he says. It's too quiet, the sound comes first. Not the familiar whump of artillery or the crackle of small arms. It is a high-pitched metallic shriek that sounds like the sky itself is being torn in half. Bogies! A driver in the truck ahead screams, his head out the window pointing up. Deacon looks. 2 Focke-Wulf 190s, their engines screaming, are coming in low right at treetop level. They are moving so fast. Slick! The world erupts. The 20mm cannons of the Luftwaffe planes open up. The sound is a deafening thwack, 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 thwack. The truck 2 vehicles ahead, loaded with artillery shells, disintegrates. It doesn't explode. It simply vanishes in a blinding white flash that shoves their own truck sideways. The truck directly in front of them, a fuel tanker, is hit next. Tracers stitch across its tank and it erupts into a rolling ball of fire. The road is blocked, a wall of impenetrable boiling gasoline fire. Brake! Deacon screams. Slick yanks the wheel to the right. No, off the road. Off the road! He floors the accelerator, spinning the wheel, and plunges the Jimmy off the hardball, down a steep, muddy embankment. They crash through a wooden fence, the overloaded truck groaning, and come to a lurching, violent stop in a French farmer's field. The Focke-Wulfs scream overhead, bank hard, and come around for a second pass. Get out! Slick roars, grabbing his rifle. They tumble out of the cab and belly flop into the mud as the cannons open up again. Tracers rip through the air, stitching a line across the field. They can feel the thump of the 20mm shells hitting the earth, walking a line straight toward their truck. The plane's engine noise is deafening. Then, as quickly as it came, it's gone. Deacon raises his head, his ears ringing, his mouth full of mud. He looks back at the road. It is an apocalypse. 5 trucks are ablaze. A column of black smoke towers into the sky. Men are screaming. And in the distance, from the back of the convoy, he hears the slow, steady thump-thump-thump of a .50 caliber machine gun firing back, uselessly at the empty sky. The Red Ball Express, the invincible industrial river, is bleeding. September 13th, 1944, 17:31 hours. A muddy field near Leon. The world is screaming. The air smells of burned gasoline, cordite, and cooked metal. Deacon Price is trying to breathe. He has pressed himself so flat against the French soil that he can feel the individual pebbles digging into his ribs. His ears ring from the 20mm cannons. The only other sound is the roar of the fire on the road, a sound like a giant blowtorch punctuated by the sharp crack of ammunition cooking off in the burning trucks. They gone? Deacon's voice is a dry croak. Slick, 10 feet away, cautiously lifts his head, his helmet caked in mud. He squints at the empty gray sky. Yeah, for now. Don't stand up. Deacon looks at the road. It is hell. The fuel tanker is a skeleton of twisted black metal. The heat so intense it's melting the asphalt around it. The ammunition truck is just gone. A smoldering crater 30 feet wide is all that remains. Men are shouting, some are screaming. My God, Slick, Deacon whispers. He sees a man trying to beat the flames out on another man's back. We gotta help them. He starts to get up. Stay down. Slick hisses, but not because of the planes. Look, Deacon squints. Through the thick, oily smoke, he sees it. The trucks at the back of the convoy, the ones that hadn't reached the kill zone, are not stopping. They are not turning around. They are driving off the road, one after another. Jimmies are lurching and bumping through the same field Deacon and Slick are lying in, forging an impromptu, muddy bypass around the inferno. An MP on a Harley-Davidson, his face a mask of black soot, is already in the field. riding parallel to the new road, his arm waving frantically. Keep 'em moving! Around the fire! Get 'em around! Don't stop! Close that gap! Close it up! This is the moment the Luftwaffe pilots now speeding home would never understand. They saw 5 burning trucks. They saw a blocked road. They would report convoy destroyed, supply line severed. They didn't see the Red Ball Express. You cannot kill a river by dropping a rock in it. The water just flows around. He's insane, Deacon says, watching the MP screaming at the drivers. No, Slick says, his voice grim. He stands up, brushing the thick mud off his M1 rifle. He's right. Come on, college boy. Get in the truck. What? Get in. Slick, we're loaded with 5-gallon flimsies. We're a bomb on wheels. Just like that tanker. So is every other truck in this field? Slick roars back, already yanking his cab door open. We stay here, we're a target. We stop, Patton stops. What's it gonna be? Deacon looks at the burning wrecks, at the men he can't help. Then he looks at the line of trucks churning through the mud, bypassing the dead, rejoining the highway a kilometer up the road. He makes the choice. He climbs back into the cab, his hands shaking so violently he can barely grip the door handle. Slick grinds the gears. The truck lurches, its tires screaming in the mud, and then it catches. They fall into the muddy, impromptu line. The heat from the burning truck scorches the side of their faces as they pass. They don't look. They can't. They just drive. This is the reality of the Red Ball in mid-September. The glory days of August are over. The long, unopposed runs are gone. Now it is a gauntlet. The Luftwaffe, sensing the artery, is throwing everything it has left at it. German artillery, bypassed by the advance, now has the ranges for the major highways zeroed in. The drivers are no longer just drivers. They are combat soldiers, whether the U.S. Army, with its rigid segregation, recognizes it or not. 2,200 hours, the same day. Luftwaffe 3 headquarters. The pilot, a young Oberleutnant, gives his report. At least 5 tankers destroyed, Herr Major. More were hit. The road is blocked. The convoy is halted. His commander, a veteran of the Eastern Front, just nods, a bitter, tired look in his eyes. And how long, Lieutenant, do you think it stayed blocked? Sir, it was an inferno. It would take them days to clear it. It took them 10 minutes, the commander says, tapping a new intelligence intercept from a forward observer. They drove around it, through a field. Our observer estimates the gap in the convoy lasted 12 minutes. Then it resumed at full speed. He crumples the paper. You did not block a convoy. You just made them angry. And they are still coming. The Red Ball is bleeding, but it is not stopping. The wheel keeps grinding. But the cost is becoming astronomical. The men are at the breaking point. The trucks are disintegrating, and General Patton is still impossibly screaming for more. September 14, 1944. 0330 hours. Army Transfer Point 12. Near the Belgian border. The truck, their gasoline-laden Jimmy, coughs its last and rolls to a stop in a sea of mud, lit by a single naked bulb hanging from a pole. This is the front, or as close as they get. The air thumps with the constant rhythmic concussion of 240 mm Black Dragon artillery, firing just over the horizon. A lieutenant, his face so pale with fatigue he looks like a corpse, signs their trip ticket. Drop the load. Rations and refuel are over there. You have 1 hour. Your return convoy forms at 0430. 1 hour? Deacon's voice cracks. They have been driving for 22 hours straight through an ambush. The lieutenant doesn't look up from his clipboard. This position is getting shelled nightly. You want to be here when the sun comes up? Get your chow. Get in line. Deacon and Slick stumble out of the cab. Their legs feel like wood. They join a line of other drivers, all moving with the same zombie-like shuffle, heading toward a large tent billowing steam. As they get closer, a white MP, his helmet liner painted with 708th MP Battalion, steps out, holding a T-handle nightstick. Hold up, the MP says, his voice lazy and flat. He jerks his thumb toward a smaller, darker tent 50 yards away, set back near the latrines. Colored messes over there. Deacon stops. He just stares at the MP, his mind too numb to process the words. Slick, however, goes rigid. The exhaustion, the fear, the memory of the fire. It all ignites. What? Slick says, his voice dangerously low. You heard me, boy. The MP says, his eyes narrowing. Your mess tent is over there. We just drove 300 miles, Slick says, his voice shaking with a rage so cold it cuts through the night. We just drove through a Luftwaffe strike. We brought the gas that's gonna let you sleep tonight. And you're telling me I can't eat in that tent? The MP takes a step forward, gripping his nightstick. I'm telling you what the regulations are. Now, you gonna move along or we gonna have a problem? We already got a problem, you— Slick! Deacon grabs his arm. Hard. Slick, don't. Deacon's eyes are pleading. It's not worth it. He's got the stick. He's got the 45. We just go. Please, let's just go. Slick stares at the MP, a lifetime of indignities compressed into one terrible moment. He looks at the white sign, barely visible, tacked to the tent flap. He looks at the colored sign, scrawled in charcoal on the miserable tent by the latrines. He looks at Deacon's terrified face. Finally, he spits in the mud at the MP's feet. Come on, Deacon. They don't want their white lightning to get tainted. They walk to the other tent. The coffee is boiled over sludge. The food is a single cold, grease-congealed sausage. They eat it standing up in silence as the ground shakes from the guns they just supplied. Meanwhile, in a bunker at Heeresgruppe B headquarters, an intelligence officer presents a new analysis to General Feldmarschall Model. The prisoner interrogations and our forward observers confirm it. Herr Feldmarschall, the officer says, his tone laced with disbelief. The drivers, the overwhelming majority of them, are Negersoldaten. Model stares at him. What? Negroes. African soldiers. It is their quartermaster and transportation corps. It seems the Americans, they are using their subhumans to drive the trucks. This is, in many ways, more shocking to the German high command than the 12,000-ton number. The entire Nazi ideology is built on the foundation of Aryan racial supremacy. Yet here is undeniable proof that the logistical miracle keeping the Allied armies alive, the operation that is shattering German defenses, is being performed almost entirely by the very race they have deemed inferior. It is an ideological contradiction that is impossible to reconcile. It is a profound psychological blow. Model is silent for a full minute. So we are being defeated, he says to the room, his voice a whisper. Not by their generals, but by their Untermenschen. In trucks, the officer has no reply. The fact is more potent than any propaganda. The engine of the Allied victory is being run by men who, in the Americans' own army, are not even allowed to eat in the same tent. 4-5 hours. Transfer point 12. Deacon and Slick are back in a truck. This one is even worse. The clutch is soft and the brakes squeal. Their return papers are stamped. They are at the head of a new westbound line. Slick hasn't said a word in an hour. He just sits in the passenger seat, his M1 rifle across his lap, staring into the pre-dawn darkness. Slick? Deacon says, his hands on the wheel. You all right? Slick turns his head, his eyes invisible under the shadow of his helmet. You know, Deacon, he says, his voice quiet. Back home, I'm just a colored boy who can't drink at a white fountain. Over here, I'm a Negro soldier. Good enough to die, but not good enough to eat. He taps the metal dashboard. But in this truck, driving this road, I'm the man. I'm the one. Without me and all the other colored boys on this road, that white boy MP starves, Patton starves, the whole damn U.S. Army starves. He looks back at the road. They can keep their coffee, Deacon, but they better stay the hell out of my way. Because I am coming through, a whistle blows. The line lurches forward. Roll 'em, Deacon, Slick says. Let's go home. They pull out, rejoining the endless, ghostly circuit. The wheel, fueled by injustice as much as gasoline, continues to grind. September 25th, 1944, 0200 hours. The A route, 50 miles west of Verdun. It is no longer a road. It is a 400-mile-long junkyard. The dead truck park is no longer a specific place. It is the entire shoulder of the highway, for miles. The Red Ball Express is lined with its own dead. Trucks with blown engines, trucks with snapped axles, trucks with shredded tires. Inside his cab, Deacon Price is fighting a losing battle. He's driving. Slick is supposed to be asleep, but he's wide awake, his hands braced on the dashboard. Every deuce and a half was built with 2 rear axles, 8 tires to spread the load. Theirs is riding on 5. 2 tires on the passenger side are completely gone, shredded hours ago. The truck is lurching violently, listing to the right, the steel rims screaming as they grind against the pulverized pavement. She ain't got much left, Deacon, Slick says, his voice a dead monotone. She's pulling hard, right? Keep her steady. I'm trying. Deacon is fighting the wheel, his muscles burning. The depot, They said they had no more spares. Take it or leave it, he said, yeah. Get the cargo through. Then it happens. Not with a bang, but with a final, tearing metallic shriek. The rear axle, stressed beyond all engineering limits, snaps. The truck slews sideways, a 5-ton cargo-laden battering ram. Deacon screams as he stands on the brake, but the truck has its own momentum. It spins in a sickening half-circle, slides off the road, and plows backward into a ditch with a bone-jarring crunch. The engine dies. Silence. The absolute, deafening silence is the most terrifying sound Deacon has heard in a month. For the first time since August, the roar of the convoy is not behind them. The Red Ball Express has, in this sector, finally ground to a halt. Deacon is breathing in great, ragged gasps. Slick, you okay? Slick just coughs. I'm fine, college boy, you? I think so. They climb out. The truck is finished. Its frame is bent, its cargo of medical supplies spilled into the mud. They are stranded. Slick pulls out his last cigarette and lights it. His hands are shaking. Well, that's it. We delivered the mail. Almost. He looks up and down the road. It's empty. A ghost road littered with wrecks lit by a sliver of moon. Where is everyone? Deacon asks. September 26, 1944, ComZed Headquarters, Valognes. General John C.H. Lee is reading a teletype. It is the order he has been dreading. Priority 1, Schaeff. 26 Sept. 1944. All Red Ball Express assets. Priority, fuel and ammunition are to be diverted to 21st Army Group, Montgomery. In support of Operation Market Garden, 3rd U.S. Army, Patton, will assume immediate defensive posture. Allocations canceled until further notice. The plug has been pulled. It wasn't the Luftwaffe. It wasn't German ambushes. It was Allied High Command. In a strategic gamble, Eisenhower has chosen to back Montgomery's airborne assault into Holland. The Red Ball Express, the lifeline of the Third Army, has been bled dry to support a different front. Patton has been ordered to stop. The great pursuit is over. The logistics officers who ran the express are frantic. General, we can't just stop. We have 5,000 trucks in the loop. We have men stranded, depots overloaded. It's done, Lee says, his voice like iron. The port at Antwerp is opening. The rail lines to Brussels are repaired. The crisis is over. He looks at the map, at the red lines that represent the artery he commanded. They did it. Those drivers, they did the impossible. And now they're just turning it off. September 28, 1944. Heeresgruppe B headquarters. General Feldmarschall Model and General Blumentritt are staring at the situation map. The blue arrows representing Patton's Third Army have stopped moving. They are digging in along the Moselle River. It's a trap, Blumentritt insists, his face pale. They are luring us in. Patton would not stop. Not unless he is baiting us for a counter-thrust. No, Model says. He is looking at an intelligence summary. It is not a trap. It is inconceivable. They stopped. The entire American Third Army, the most powerful mechanized force on Earth, has run out of gasoline. The German commanders cannot believe it. They have been saved. Not by their panzers, not by the West Wall. They have been given a reprieve by the enemy's own command. The Wehrmacht, which was on the verge of total collapse, has just been given the one thing it needed. Time. Time to regroup. Time to rearm. Time to man the Siegfried Line. Time to prepare for one last desperate offensive in the Ardennes. The German generals, who were stunned by the existence of the Red Ball Express, are now utterly, incomprehensibly baffled by its absence. They cannot understand an enemy who could build such a weapon and then, at the moment of victory, voluntarily sheath it. September 29, 1944. A roadside ditch near Verdun. Deacon and Slick have been walking for a day. They are just two more ghosts on a road of ghosts. Finally, a jeep carrying a haggard-looking captain from the Transportation Corps pulls over. You two drivers? The captain asks. Yes, sir, Slick replies. Truck? Dead, back about 20 miles. Snapped an axle. The captain just nods. He's heard the same story 100 times this morning. Get in, the express is over. This whole sector is being shut down. They're sending you back to Cherbourg. By train. Deacon and Slick climb in. By train? Deacon asks. Yeah, the captain says, grinding the jeep into gear. They finally got the damn railroads working. Type continue to create a next section. October 2nd, 1944. A 40-8 boxcar, clattering west toward Cherbourg. The sound is wrong. For 39 straight days, Private First Class James Deacon Price has lived inside the roar of a 6-cylinder engine and the vibration of a 5-ton load. Now there is only the rhythmic hollow click-clack of steel wheels on a steel rail. It is quiet. The quiet is deafening. He is sitting in the boxcar, his knees drawn to his chest, staring at the French countryside blurring past the open door. He is surrounded by 50 other drivers, all men from provisional quartermaster units. They are ghosts returning to the rear. His hands are resting on his knees. They are shaking. A fine, uncontrollable tremor. Can't make him stop, he whispers to no one. Slick, sitting beside him, hears. He looks at his own hands. They are steady, but his eyes won't focus. He keeps seeing the taillights of the truck in front of him floating in the dark. It's the road, Deacon, Slick says, his voice a low rasp. It gets in you. It's still moving, even when you're not. Deacon looks at the men in the car. They are not heroes. There will be no parades for them. They are mechanics, stevedores, and truck drivers. They are the men who won the race, only to be told the finish line had been moved. We did it, though, right? Deacon asks, needing to hear it. We got the gas. We won. Slick takes a long pause, watching the landscape roll by. We did our job, college boy. We delivered the mail. He doesn't say that because they stopped. The war will now drag on. He doesn't have to. The quiet in the boxcar says it all. November 16th, 1944. SHAEF Headquarters, Paris. The Red Ball Express is officially terminated. The port of Antwerp is open. The railroads, painstakingly repaired by Army engineers, are now carrying the bulk of the load. The crisis is over. The statistics are laid on General Lee's desk. They are the autopsy of a miracle operation. Duration, 83 days, August 25th, November 16 total. Trucks, 5,958 at its peak, total tonnage. Delivered, 412,193 tons, average daily tonnage, 12,500, during the peak of Patton's pursuit. Total distance driven, over 1.5 million truck miles. Per day driver demographics, approximately 75% African American. The numbers are cold, but they represent a victory so profound it is almost invisible. It was a victory not of tactics but of brute, relentless industrial will. But another darker report is attached. It details the cost. The hundreds of drivers killed in action, from Luftwaffe strafing, from artillery, from SS ambushes. The thousands injured in accidents born of pure, bone-deep exhaustion. The express fatigue cases that filled the evacuation hospitals. The report details the near 100% burnout rate of the trucks themselves, driven into scrap metal in less than 3 months. The Red Ball Express had, quite literally, driven itself to death to keep the Third Army alive. December 15, 1944. Here is Gruppe B headquarters, Eifel, Germany. General Feldmarschall model stands before a massive map of the Ardennes forest. The September reprieve granted by the Allied halt has been used. The Wehrmacht is reconstituted. Fresh Volksgrenadier divisions are massed and elite SS Panzer units, hoarded and refueled, hide under the trees. They are complacent, Model says, his voice confident for the first time in months. Their front is thin. They believe the war is won. They rely on their trains, on their ports. He points to the map. They have forgotten what their trucks taught them, that speed is a weapon. We will now use it against them. We will strike here, we will sever their supply lines, and we will drive to Antwerp. The German High Command, which had been paralyzed by the sheer industrial might of the Red Ball, was now about to launch its own offensive. Wacht am Rhein. The Battle of the Bulge, based on the very principle of logistics they had failed to counter. December 23, 1944. A snow-covered road near Bastogne, Belgium. The 101st Airborne is surrounded. The German counteroffensive has been a stunning success. The weather is Arctic. The 101st is out of ammunition, out of food, and out of medical supplies. The railroads are cut. The ports are too far. The Allied advance is once again threatened with collapse. And in the swirling snow a familiar sound is heard. The roar of a 2.5-ton GMC engine. The Red Ball Express is reborn. From the replacement depots they have pulled the drivers. Men like Deacon and Slick, who thought their war was over, are put back in the cabs of new trucks. This time the route is not through the dust of summer, but the ice and snow of the worst winter in 50 years. They drive through the night, on roads slick with ice, headlights blazing as a beacon for the Luftwaffe. A desperate run to get supplies to the besieged town. They are the men who cannot be trusted to eat at the same table, but who are once again the only men who can save the front. They are the final, absurd, and undeniable proof of the German officers' report. The Untermenschen in their trucks, driving through hell impossible to stop, delivering victory, one 5-ton load at a time.